All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Raw Talk with Nate and Matt. Hope you guys are doing well. It's great to see you here this Saturday morning. And yeah, looking forward to a great chat today. Nate, how you doing today?
Good, brother. Good. Good to see you, man. Good morning.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
everybody.
Yes. All right. Well, I mean, there's so many things we can start off with, and there's a lot
Yes.
going on in the world of raw food and
Mm,
veganism and plant-based diets and just the world in general. So, what are you
it's
thinking?
true.
Anything on your mind this morning?
Um, yeah, what's going on in the raw food world? It is interesting because there's these micro bubbles that I feel like we all live in.
Yeah,
And so what might be going on in one person's bubble or maybe their friend circle and stuff isn't what somebody else might be experiencing.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so anything in the raw world that has been kind of making my eyebrow raise is just the concept of the narrative that we might see in the world on social media, not necessarily in any particular niche, about the either detriments or importance of supplementation,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conflicting opinions about this topic. I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I don't know. Of course, learning from a lot of the plant-based doctors out there. For instance, B12. I've heard, through the grapevine that there are some people out there that believe that it's not real. Um,
Mm.
and could that be? Possibly, I guess. I'm open to considering the possibility, but I do know of multiple people that either themselves or somebody that they've worked with has had a B12 deficiency and they had symptoms from that. And after taking B12, the issue's resolved. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, for one, anecdotes are so powerful. Like we love them
Yeah.
as people. We love stories. We love songs. We love movies. We love books. We love stories.
Yeah.
So it's hard to not grab onto a story and really run with it as the gospel, the good news, the truth, right?
Right.
And you know what is on point for one person, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be people who disagree with it, but I do feel because I know people as well who have said that, say, bring it into our bubble,
Mm-hmm.
the raw niche, this raw vegan community of, like whatever it is, 400 people in
Yeah.
the world or something.
Right. Yeah.
It is, there are people who we know. Listen and I both aren't as like say set in a certain way, following a certain program or a diet. Is certain foods that we don't include into our diet. We're pretty like well. I want to say well rounded, but I don't want to
Yeah.
ruffle anybody's feathers with somebody else's. I'm well rounded too, but I only eat cauliflower or whatever it
Yeah.
might.
Yeah.
So like we eat a lot of stuff, but we have some friends who have had the same kind of stories where they're like, no, I don't need that. I'm eating the best diet in the world. And then, 10 years later, they're starting to get some symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a while for the body to like show signs and symptoms. And, them being resistant to, say, like B12 supplementation
Yep.
and then taking it. And their story is the same. They're just like, I was so lucky because I could have had this you know, irreversible nerve damage.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, like, as you said that, I was thinking, like, I would need to, because I just don't really know. It's hard for me to be so confident in stuff that I just don't know.
Right. Same.
That's just not my personality or my, style.
Yeah.
I kind of admire people who are just so confident, but they like like even I know that what they're saying doesn't really make sense or isn't, the truth. They're spitting out absolutes and
Yeah.
guarantees right and left. You'll never get sick and you're anti-aging and all this stuff. I'm like, man, we're all gonna die,
Right,
like
right,
come
right.
on.
Yeah.
But I would need to, I would need to spend like, I mean, if I was to give it an honest 1 year's time of really digging into all the aspects, take the main trunk of the B12 uh, topic and just branch out in every single way that I could. So that way I could put together a strong stance on B12,
Mm-hmm.
right? And be able to reiterate what I learned and even like teach about it, like what I've learned and my stance. I just don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
What I know, the little bit that I know, because there's so many things in life to study. And,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
the way my brain works is it doesn't really hold all the files.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'm like, I don't need those files, like I can't
Yes.
remember. I'm like, I can't really remember. I have to like tap back into that. If it's a daily thing and you're doing it all the time, or once a week you're studying something, it's going to be easy to pull up.
Right.
But from what I know, yeah, man, B12, man, like everybody needs it. Doesn't matter what diet. And the raw vegans, like, it's funny because there's this guy, Daniel Lachey, that we follow. He used to be lifting vegan logic.
Okay.
He's got a great channel, YouTube channel, vegan activist, was super hardcore against veganism for a long time. And then he
Mm.
just tried to like, debunk it himself. And he's like, well, actually, this is like, he was lifting the vegan logic. You know what I mean? He's like, all right, this is, um, people will compare, certain things and, say like, I don't know, just how many calories you can get from certain foods,
Mm-hmm.
and vegan foods are, bunk because you can only get so many calories. But it's like the foods that, people may be showing are really bunk vegan foods. Like you
Right.
could go tempeh, seitan, right? Like these sorts of tofu, these sorts of things have like a higher concentration of protein if you're like looking for protein or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting because even the people who are making those videos, the meat eater content creators, need B12 too. You know what I mean? Like
Oh
everybody
yeah.
needs some B12, So I don't know. Like I haven't researched like super extensively. And of course, I'm sure I could be called out right and left in all kinds of different ways. But I mean, to me, it just seems like it's a pretty harmless and cheap way to just kind of ensure, like you're
Right.
doing the best that you can to ensure that you're not going to run into those problems down the line. Like for my truck, I got an air compressor
Mm-hmm.
because I like to air down all four tires so it's lower tire pressure so they grip around the rocks when you're crawling back in somewhere deep.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, what if I pop a tire? I should probably carry a plug kit in case
Mm-hmm.
I puncture my tire so I can pump it back up.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if I don't have my air compressor, I can't pump it back up. So the air compressor should stay in the truck and the kit should stay in the truck. That way the truck is always covered. Now, hopefully I don't need the puncture kit, right?
Yep.
The patch kit, but it's there to just cover my ass. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. That's kind of how I feel with like B12 or, vitamin D, like
Mm-hmm.
iodine, all these sorts of supplements, selenium. Like when we type into Chronometer and, research, like I'm not a researcher.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to speak with such conviction.
Sure.
But it seems as if these are really important vitamins and they're very simple to obtain.
Yes.
Why wouldn't I? Like, yes, I believe there's corporations and people with not the best interests of humans at hand trying to make money off of us
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that there's also, it's interesting because it's like, you know, the way movies and certain things go, like you got to give them 80% truth so that the way they don't really see the 20% of the lie or whatever, right?
Yes. Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. No.
What are your thoughts on
I
that?
I feel the exact same way. I mean, if there were reports of people getting cancer or like dying of taking B12 supplements, then I would be a little more, apt to to look deeper into that. But as you said, this is a very cheap, it's very inexpensive. Um, and my thoughts are, if the motive, from what the little bit that I've like kind of gathered from what the argument is, it sounds like what, you know, somebody that wrote a book is saying, that it was created to get people afraid of not eating animal products and meat and things.
Mm, yeah.
I don't know if that's their main argument, but that's what it just, I haven't looked too much into it, but that's what it sounds like. But if that were true, I don't see why they would be giving B12 to all farm animals. It doesn't. Why, if you're gonna try and convince people that you don't need to eat meat in order, or that you do need to eat meat in order to get this, why would you have to give it to the animals? Because they're not getting it. Because again, it's, from my understanding, it's a bacterial byproduct that is in, feces that gets put into the soil. It's in the soil. The animals eat it, or we would drink it in, spring water, or, in our vegetables and things like that. But
Yeah.
now everything is sanitized, chlorinated, whatever they're spraying in the skies. There's a lot of things that are affecting our soil, and destroying a lot of the beneficial microbes in there. And so it makes sense to me that it would be something that we would want to supplement, as just, as you said, like, just in case.
Yeah.
Why not? Unless there are known, like, serious consequences from taking it, which,
Right.
I'm not aware of. But
Yeah.
if there
Right.
are, somebody please let me know, because I haven't seen any.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's such a great point. Like they're feeding it to the animals. So that way they can sell people on the idea that, well, you got to eat the meat because
Mm-hmm.
that's where you're going to get your B12 if you don't eat your meat.
Yep.
You can't be a vegetarian or vegan because there's no B12 over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're saying, it's like the animals are being injected with it.
Yep.
So it's in the meat, like traces amounts. And for the average, it's so incredible. Anybody who is watching this later or right now live obviously is on the same path in a
Mm-hmm.
way, or well, in this on the same freeway, as we are,
Yeah.
where we're like into health and nutrition and feeling our best, like diet and of course veganism, the ethical stance of veganism.
Yep.
And but for the average person, like when we go to the store, I went to the store yesterday, ran some errands, and I had to just grab a few things for our chili class today, which we're making raw chili
Mm,
in our school community at 10 o'clock. So that's going to
nice.
be pretty fun.
I'll get the link
So,
in the description box down below. People want to
heck
check
yeah,
that out.
man. Yeah, we do, live cooking demos, or I should say, creation demos, because we're not cooking anything. But what I was going to say is, I'm standing at the grocery store aisle and I'm seeing, what everybody else has in their baskets. And I'm watching the couple in front of me put all their stuff on the conveyor belt. And I know anybody who's tuning into this knows exactly what I'm talking about, because you can't help it when you're into food. If you're a foodie and you're, into diet,
Yep.
you're going to see what other people are eating. And especially as a raw vegan, right?
Yeah.
I got like 20 pounds of bananas, like I got these mangoes, bro. Look at these mangoes, dude. It's as big as
Oh,
my
damn.
head,
Wow.
bro. Like it's just massive mangoes.
Damn.
Um, and I'm watching all this other stuff these people are putting on their cart. These individuals have no idea about the importance of supplementation. And I mean, there's so many people that are so nutrient deficient and vitamin and mineral deficient, and you look at them, and I'm not trying to pass judgment on people,
Right.
but I'm like looking at someone's, like, from their lower calf down to their ankle, maybe they're wearing some shorts,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm seeing like, man, there's a lot going on in this body,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and rest assured they're not supplementing with B12 or vitamin D, like looking at their cart, they're taking lots of medications though to
Mm-hmm.
be able to keep things under wrap, so that's just interesting. There's a lot of people who just don't have a clue, so you could be sold a story like, oh, well, I got a B12 is a real important neurological, like maybe a commercial or some sort of advert comes on.
Yeah.
And the average person be like, I need to get meat because that's where am I going to get my B12, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And then as someone who is a vegetarian or raw vegan, um, obviously like we're not going to be eating animals, so
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, we figured this one out a long time ago. We just take a supplement, like
Right.
we supplement so we can, keep those levels there. And like you had mentioned, the water, the soil, the air, there's a lot of things in our world that just they're not the way they used to be. We
Right.
don't really know what it was like truly 500 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
We got little stories, maybe somebody took some good notes, you know what I mean? And they,
Right.
were able to keep them, maybe 1,000 years ago. But I mean, like
Yeah.
really, you know, but what's crazy is like there's these home remedy books
Mm-hmm.
that are like fat,
Oh yeah.
good. We got a couple of them. And they have those because they were suffering from shit back in the day, man. Like
Right.
they needed remedies to be able to like deal with certain things that they're feeling.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting how we want to go back in a lot of ways to the way it was,
Mm-hmm.
right? To nature, to the more natural way. And I totally agree.
Yeah.
But it's not that same world though, either.
No.
Like, even if we did adopt all the practices, permaculture, regenerative farming, these are some fancy words, like you got to go research. What does permaculture mean? What does
Yeah.
regenerative farming mean? Because, it sounds so like, oh, I want that,
It's
like we need to
mystical.
do that.
Yeah.
Mystical, right? But yeah, it's interesting because it's just, we're all trying to like, I feel like in a way we're trying to just, maintain and figure it out. And there's a lot of really like super dark, really messed up things that are being played out on this plane of existence.
Yeah.
And like like we haven't seen anybody drop dead or hear people are dying from like overdosing on B12 or whatever, right?
Right.
Like there's other things that are so much more it's a long way of saying there's so many other things that are so much more detrimental to people's health and what they're doing to themselves
Yeah.
than taking a B12 supplement.
Right. Yeah, I know. I think I think there was one instance that I think I've heard of where like smokers, heavy smokers that took too much B12, I think it did increase their lung cancer or something like that.
Hmm.
But that's the only thing I've ever heard of it, and
Yeah.
I think, and I don't know all the details to that. So
Yeah.
if there's anybody that wants to debate us on that, that might be
Yeah.
something they bring up.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, dude, it's like it's a supplement you take like once or twice a week, if that. Like some people
Yeah.
take it like once every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
to me,
I've been
I
taking it every day because of the dental procedure, and I'm
oh yeah,
still like, I have nerve damage.
mm-hmm,
I mean, there's so many nerves. So when they give you an injection of, it's not Novocaine that they don't use anymore. There's like four different kinds of essentially numbing agents, and I don't know the names off the top of my head, but
okay,
they could have tapped one of my nerves. They damaged the nerve. And so I'm like, I need to up my B12 and I need to take it every day because that's going to help
mm-hmm,
this nerve damage.
yeah,
Like I said, I haven't spent a month reading, like all I'm ingesting is everything B12. I want to know all the science. I want to know all the stories. I want to know all the history. I don't know that.
yeah,
But what I do know is from what I have gathered, like, yeah, what's the problem in taking it? And yeah, like you're saying, once to twice a week. Heck, even once a month.
mm-hmm,
Like Lisa and I, for like years, we would be so bad at like taking any kind of vitamin.
yeah, same,
And of course, there's part of us like, well, we're eating a raw vegan diet. Where our diet's perfect. You know what I mean?
right,
And um, it's just tricky to take vitamins or any kind of supplement if it's not on the counter. And
yeah,
sometimes I have a problem with having a bunch of pills and supplements on the counter. I just don't like the look of it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So if it's not in your sight though, you don't remember. And I do feel these vitamins and minerals, man, like they've been shown to be beneficial for us, it's just a little, it's like carrying that Fix-A-Flat, with
Yeah.
me. Like,
Yeah.
I hope I don't need it, but I've got it just to be sure, like
Yeah.
it's not going to hurt. It's going to take a little bit of room in the back of my truck, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Right. I mean, especially if you're
Yeah,
getting it from a company, like I do recommend if you're taking supplements that they should come from like
yeah,
a whole food source,
100%.
right? Like that's probably the best
Right.
way.
Yeah,
Um,
Lissa, she was in the, natural health food industry for like
right.
nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
So I'm really fortunate in that regard because while she was studying all these detox and cleansing kits and supplements for nearly a lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
I was smoking weed and blowing bongs in my shop. I was a glass blower for 15 years. So
Nice.
the information that I have, you know what I mean, is
Mm.
not the extensive information that she has about these certain things.
Yeah.
So she's breaking down things, that, like you're saying, what certain companies may do,
Mm-hmm.
what's a reputable company,
Right.
right? And that is so, so huge.
Yeah.
Like, find someone who knows or that you trust totally is so important.
Yeah.
My gosh. Because there is a lot of bunk companies,
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And oh my gosh, we saw this reel of this marketing agent, a design agent of some sort, taking regular packaged foods, unhealthy foods, and making it, like, marketing it the way that the packaging would be, the coloring and the wording and everything about it,
Mm-hmm.
to make it look like it was health food,
Right.
right? Like they call it greenwashing,
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
And so, and he wasn't showing greenwashing. He was just showing like how you can make a Coca-Cola look like healthy, right?
Yeah.
And it's so crazy, dude, because psychologically, you're like, the way the package looks, the font,
Mm-hmm.
the way it comes across plant-based,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Oh, this is plant-based,
Yeah.
like this is high in this, it has that, like, oh, that's good.
Yep.
But it's so interesting. It's masquerading, right?
Oh yeah. Gluten
Hmm.
free.
Right.
How
Yeah.
many times like my mom has come to me and like, oh, it's gluten free. Like, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
What else is in there?
It's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of, and of course, I mean, if we were to really geek out about food, which, as humans, sometimes we can let ourselves really obsess over certain things or really go
Mm.
deep on certain things.
Oh yeah.
I'm no different, like I go hardcore on certain things. But um just the food, like somebody could look in and be like, well, you guys are eating a lot of conventional foods and not everything's organic. Because listen, I say we're like accidental organic. Like if it's organic, we're like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that we search out for that we want to be organic.
Yeah.
And we do shop a lot at like Sprouts and, Costco, they have pretty good organic selections.
Yeah.
Um, we shop like a lot at Winco. Winco is very cheap.
Mm.
And it's like I don't know if I don't think it's an East Coast store, but it's just a great store. Um,
Do you guys have natural grocers?
we don't have Natty G's.
Mm.
Actually, let me look it up. Maybe we have Natty G's here. We have it in Oregon.
Okay.
Natty G's, I like to call it. We have it in Oregon, so we'd go there too.
Yeah.
So, but we don't buy all this organic food. Like, not everything's organic. And even if we were to dig into the discrepancies of, what qualifies as organic, because I have some organic friends who farm organic,
Okay.
and I have some friends who farm organic who aren't certified organic
Right.
in Oregon
Yeah.
because of the hoops and how much money it is to get that certification,
Yeah.
right? But they're organic. But both are like, yeah, we still got to spray. Like I used to grow herbs and I used to grow, a garden. Like every year we'd have a garden and we would always be spraying some bacillus or something to get rid of the worms and
Okay.
because they'll just trash your crop.
Right.
So, just because it's organic doesn't mean that it's not sprayed or not treated.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, what I was going to say is if you go deep with all these things, you could drive yourself batty.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like a conventional cucumber is going to be better than freaking bag of French fries.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Glyphosate or not. You know
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like peel it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, totally. Like it's funny because we're all going to die.
Mm-hmm.
All of us.
Yeah.
It's just It's how the body, we're not going to be in this body forever.
Right.
So, some people will take that to the nth degree and be like, well, I don't even care about anything because I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to party every night. And I'm going to be like, not even sleep until 4 in the morning, you know,
Yep. YOLO.
but yeah, YOLO, but I mean, yeah, I definitely, for me personally, I want to be an active, healthy, geriatric individual.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
want to be a healthy old person.
Yeah.
I see them. I go mountain biking. I go, skiing and snowboarding, backpacking, hiking. Like, I see these people once in a while
Mm-hmm.
that are 25, 30 years older than me, and they're still out there. And I'm like, how? Like, can I be like you? And most of them,
Are they raw vegan?
I was gonna say most of them, bro. I would say most of them are probably like omnivorous. There might be like
Exactly.
once in a blue moon, there might be someone who's like, oh, well, I'm mostly vegetarian. Rarely,
Mm-hmm.
rarely do you meet someone who's a vegan
Right.
for ethical reasons.
Yep.
Rarely do you meet someone who is plant exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's people who are plant exclusive but still buy leather and silk and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
wool,
Yep.
and as someone who's into outdoors and all these kinds of activities, bro, like, there's a lot of really good gear that isn't vegan.
Mm.
And it
Yeah.
pisses me off, man.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing like a down sleeping bag. It
Mm.
compresses down into nothing, doesn't weigh anything, but it'll keep you warm in, like, sub freezing temperatures. But I'm not going to buy a freaking down sleeping bag. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
So, but you see all these people, though, not all these people, like, there's a lot of people who are older. And it's like, what do you do
Mm-hmm.
that keeps you? I'll just take my vitamins. I laugh a lot. I always have a shot of whiskey on Saturday or whatever,
Yeah.
Or some people, one guy was like, my trick is 2 walnuts a day. He's
Yeah.
like, he's got a bologna and processed cheese sandwich with mayonnaise and white bread, bro. And he's telling me on the trail, I eat 2 walnuts a day because he's an old dude.
Yeah.
He's like 25, 30 years older than me. And I'm like, man, how did, then I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at what he eats and I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I got to have better chances. Not to like pass judgment on this dude, but I'm trying to learn something from this cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm just going to eat fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, living foods. I'm going to be sprouting, growing, ferments, like growing
Yeah.
my bacteria.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be able to do what he's doing,
Right.
you know?
Dude, and
So interesting.
I am so glad you brought that up. I have multiple grandparents, 3 or more that I can think of, that lived well into their 90s, healthfully, pretty healthfully. One was 99. And yeah, like, not vegan, not raw. And I am not in I'm not in any way like discouraging people or trying to, put down the raw vegan diet. I live that lifestyle.
Yeah.
However, I am not arrogant enough to try and convince people that that is like eating a raw vegan diet is going to guarantee your better outcomes. Because again, I'm gonna guess these older people that you have met that are still very healthy and active, even though they're eating bologna and whatever
Bro,
else,
exactly.
their attitude towards
Yeah.
life is probably pretty good, pretty healthy, pretty optimistic, pretty loving. And they're outside, they're active,
Yeah. They're
they
older.
have
So
purpose.
they're probably not eating as much of the processed stuff,
Sure,
you know.
sure. But that's something I just put out a short or a reel.
I saw that. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And there's certain people out there that are like very um very sure about like a natural hygienist lifestyle.
Yes. Sure.
Now, those people that try and tell me that telling other people that you can eat cooked food and still be healthy long term, when they tell me that that is false and that I'm lying to people and I'm misguiding people, and then you ask them, like, listen, you can take mechanistic observations like, oh, you cook food, you get, you destroy some of the nutrients. So they take that and they say that you know, it's automatically going to make you less healthy.
Yeah.
Okay. If that were the case, I'm just asking any of these natural hygiene experts, quote unquote, and show me the outcomes. I don't give a
Hmm.
damn about
Yeah.
your mechanistic observations that do not apply to the actual outcomes in life. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane. Like, they will not. I mean, can you tell me any natural hygienist that you've ever studied or heard about that has lived into their 90s? Every single one that I
Yeah.
have
None.
followed since I've gotten into this lifestyle. And
Yeah.
listen, my lifestyle is based around a lot of natural hygienic principles, all right? So I'm
Sure.
not
Yeah.
I'm not saying natural hygiene is like a bunch of crap, but
Yeah.
it's so obvious to me that eating 100% raw, and if you do, if anybody does, that's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
congratulations. I have no issue with it. But I'm not going to tell people that you have to do that in order to have the same outcomes in life, because as you just pointed out, some guy eating a bologna sandwich is up there in his 80s or whatever, skiing down a mountain, and
Yeah.
the natural hygiene people that I have seen in my lifetime that I was studying years ago, it passed away in their 70s or
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
Like, dude,
Right.
uh,
We
hello.
just don't have the research or the time yet. There's not enough people in these studies. And that's a good point, man. Like,
That's
it's interesting because
that's
it's
why
hard
we
to
have to go off of what we can see now. Like,
totally.
I understand there's
Yeah.
not like these mass populations, or there's not a lot
Yep.
of data on these lifestyles, but we have some. And from what I can see anyways, from what I interpret from it, it's not. I see I see
Yeah.
people on a standard diet for the most part. Now, the my grandparents were farmers, so
Hmm.
both of them that lived in their 90s were farmers. So
Hmm.
again, they're active.
Active.
They have a
Yeah.
purposeful life.
Hard work.
They're
Yeah.
they're
Hmm.
very family oriented. These sorts
Hmm.
of things. I think having all of these is much more important than being 100% raw.
Bro, that is so massive. It is so huge, bro. Yeah. Having purpose, having family, having love, right? Like working, something that you love to do,
Hmm.
all that's going to really, having, game nights and where your get togethers, brains active because you're doing these sorts of things. I mean, all of that's really going to play into effect.
Hmm.
Yeah. And like what you say, it's hard to not pass judgment on people just because it's kind of like in our nature and it's what we've all grown up with.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I'm saying that because there's certain people that I might look at and I'm like, man, I don't want to be like that when I'm their age.
Yeah.
What are they doing that I like, that makes sense and that maybe I can implement? And what are they doing that I want to disregard?
Hmm.
I don't want to do that, you know?
Yep.
And there'll be people from omnivorous backgrounds, like you're saying, your grandparents, there's a lot of like really good things to implement into our lives that they embodied
Hmm.
aside from maybe their food choices,
Right.
only because we have a different lens on,
Yeah.
right? Their lens was different. And Liz and I were talking about this on our walk yesterday morning about they're trying to pass this thing in Oregon where, and they do it every year, where they try to like pass it to where like fishing and hunting are going to be taken away.
Hmm.
You can't hunt or fish. It'll be a criminal act.
Really.
And of course, as a vegan, we're like, that's a win. Like, yes, that'll be so amazing. We don't need to.
Hmm.
But as a former hunter and fisherman, I can see the other side of the argument where people are like really bummed out.
Wow.
That's good bonding time with their kids, going out, teaching them how to catch a fish.
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
of course, like if we dig into the ethical aspect, it's a hatchery fish that you're allowed to catch, not a wild fish. You're not allowed to catch the wild
Mm.
fish, only the hatchery. And the
Yeah.
way you can tell is they clip the fin,
Really.
so you can tell, like, okay, I can take this fish home. So it's kind of funny. It's like those are factory farmed fish, man. You know what I mean? Like, but the concept I get, I totally get it. You're out on the river in the morning, like, bro, I brought my kids down, like ice forming on the line in the
Oh, yeah.
morning, like some of the best mornings. Just the fog coming off the water, the sun beaming through the fog, just everything about the just everything. Being out there with my kid is so good.
Yeah.
Catching a fish, bringing it home, gutting it, getting it ready to smoke, smoking it, just delicious, sharing with family and friends. There's so much more there. So it's like really tricky for me sometimes because I can see through the other lens
Hmm.
still. If I
Hmm.
put it on, like, oh yeah, I totally remember. Um, I can't remember why I was threading this in, but um, oh yeah, maybe just like looking at people. I guess that's what it was. Looking at other people, like what people do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of aspects to natural hygiene that I love. I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeah.
love the concept. Don't disrupt the soil because there's life in the soil, bro. I mean, I was a gardener. I would buy worms, like a like people who farm earthworms, and I'd buy a massive bag full of worms, all kinds of worm eggs, and I'd plant worms in every plant because you want that soil alive.
Hmm.
Everything's working together. We would buy ladybugs and put ladybugs in our garden, right? Because
Yeah.
they help. Everything is like, has its place.
Yep.
So, um, there's aspects to hygiene that I really like.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I like carrots and onions and garlic. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, so it's hard for me to just be like, in that one way. But that is another part to reflect on. Not only the aspect of just how we can be, obsessed in certain areas in life, in certain times of our life, um, is it's just incredible how we can um, be so enamored with something and then want everybody to know and want everybody to know the truth of
Mm.
our truth that we found right then and there and try to get everybody on that same wavelength,
Right.
right? Like you're saying, natural hygiene, we don't have enough. We don't. It'd be so awesome if we had all these studies, and even if we had the studies, like legit, people would still smoke and eat burgers and French fries. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Yeah.
Like even if they knew like what it's doing to their body, because this is an experience that we're having as a human. What
Yep.
kind of experience do we want to have? Some people want to have that experience where they're, like you're saying, they're obsessing over certain things, or, but yeah, I've seen a lot of people. I guess it all started with like not wanting to pass judgment on people, but I see certain people and I'm like, I just don't want to be like them. What are they doing? Oh my gosh, they're super strict. Like they're so incredibly strict in this way and that way
Yeah.
and obsessive. Like, okay, I don't want to be like that because the aura that's coming off this person, is like not what I want to embody. You know
Right.
what I mean? Whatever the case is. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
man. It's going to be really fascinating to be able to see more studies of people who've lived their entire life as a raw vegan.
Hmm.
And we've got friends like Doctors Rick and Karen Dina,
Hmm.
and their little one Liam, like he's not fully raw
Hmm.
because they want to make sure he's getting all of his nutrient.
Right.
And I admire that,
Hmm.
not being like so, because they're like, they have a lens on.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting. Like even if we, like I said, even if we did know the best way to eat, the best way to supplement, the best way to live in this world today with all of our Wi-Fi and everything, still though,
Hmm.
it's life, man. It's an experience. Sometimes we have to have these experiences.
Yeah.
And, some people's experiences is just that, like to be, only eating dead flesh and butter. They're only eating natural hygiene.
Yeah.
You know, it's fascinating. But there's, like you're saying, there's aspects that we take that are like, I'm going to take that with me. I like that. I'm
Yeah.
going to implement that into my life because that's pretty badass.
Hmm. Agreed. Yeah, and that's I think that's how it should be. You should be able to take, and I mean that's what I've done with the way that I live my lifestyle is I've taken things from a ton of different people that
Hmm.
that resonate with me and that I think make sense, and then I apply them to my life, and
Hmm.
if it improves my experience in life, then I keep it, and if it doesn't, I
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
So I've taken supplements. I've not taken supplements, for long periods of time. And I mean, I can see. the reason people would take or take
Yeah.
supplements. Um,
Sure.
and so the other thing I was going to say is that uh, trying to figure out how to tie it in. Um, so like with the natural hygiene thing, um, again, and I don't want to go too far into this again, but again, the outcomes, that's like the main thing that I've just really kind of gotten to with my just where I'm at with this is the outcomes. Like, show
Mm-hmm.
me the outcomes. Like, and even the people that have been doing it long term, um, if you put them next to these people that you see on the hill skiing, honestly, you wouldn't see hardly any difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the
Yeah.
way they look. Like
Yeah.
to me, with the strict natural hygienists, they claim, and there's I'm sure there's truth to some of the mechanisms of how, eating just raw fruits and tender leafy greens it creates less oxidative stress. It creates,
Mm-hmm.
it has so many antioxidant benefits and all these things. There's less advanced glycation end products. There's less other toxins that are produced especially when you dry heat food. But again, that's mechanistic
Mm-hmm.
observations. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many mechanisms. Like the human body is
Yeah.
so complex. You eat like a baked potato, even though you created some acrylamide or some other advanced glycation end product. You take that in. Now, there's so many different mechanisms and different pathways and things that happen in the body like at one time. It's impossible to know the
Yeah.
exact outcome of what consuming a baked potato is going to do to you.
Yeah.
Um, Now you can take the natural hygiene, some of these people that promote this, their analysis of it and say, oh, well, because when they give acrylamide to rats or whatever, and they see that it creates colon cancer or something, um, that means if you consume a baked potato, you're automatically less healthy and you're going to get colon cancer or something like that. But again, there's so many mechanisms going on.
Yeah.
You can't just take this one isolated observation and just automatically say that's what's going to happen. And that's why I say, dude, if what the natural hygienists were like, if everything that they said about these mechanisms and the benefits of eating just raw fruits and how it basically slows down your aging or it gets your aging to the appropriate speed, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody else is eating these hyper aging foods like
Mm-hmm.
acrylamide, baked potatoes, and whatever else, meat and flesh. You should see a significant difference. And some people, it's going to vary. Obviously, there's genetics and just
Yeah.
lifestyles, stress levels, and things, but everybody that any of the natural hygiene people that I see, if I put them that have been doing it for decades, if I put,
Yeah.
first of all, if they're 60, if what they're saying is absolutely true, then the outcome should show they should look like they're 40, honestly.
Yeah.
They should look
Yeah.
very unaged. and
Yeah.
and they don't, right? I've
Right.
never seen one that looks like not even 15 years younger than they are. Now, are they in a mobile, able, healthy body? Sure. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. But it, I see just like you just said, you had your
Mm-hmm.
baloney guy. He's 80
Yeah.
or whatever, and he's skiing down a hill. So
Yeah.
it just shows the outcomes of what they say aren't as clear cut as
Yeah.
what plays out in reality.
Yeah.
That,
They don't reflect.
right.
Yeah. And it's interesting because you could take, say, I mean, because, part of me is like listening to this. I'm like, okay, this is a lot of it. We're talking about maybe like looks, right? And of
Sure.
course, I get what you're saying for sure.
But
But,
that's
then
just one
that's just one
aspect.
aspect.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
if we were to take that aspect and, I just kind of like was branching in my own mind thinking about this, like, oh, you take like a young 20 something bodybuilder and you're like, oh my gosh, as commercialism and, what we're pumped to as men, like what a man's supposed to look like and
Yeah.
what you want to strive for. You're like, that's the pinnacle of like the most amazing male form.
Mm-hmm.
But they died before 30, of a heart attack or something.
Yes.
So it's interesting because we could look at someone who is, say, natural hygiene next to someone who's omnivorous,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they don't look very different on the outside, but their insides, of course, are going to show and reflect a little differently. But it's interesting because unless people are getting studies done on themselves,
Mm-hmm.
getting their blood work done, right? These sorts of things, like we really don't have much to compare it off of, so it's it's just funny
Yeah.
because this life, there's so many things to do. Like, what if you and I both were just, we spent all the time that we spend on raw food education and inspiration and recipe creating and just all this on music. And that's all we really obsessed about. Like, it's
Yeah.
hard for us to even eat because we just want to play music.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to live this life. And some people, that's the hill they want to die on.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
that this is the truth. And if you only knew the truth, you would be saved because they're lying to us and this and that. And it's, always there is.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I don't like to say there is a malevolent force on this planet,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah.
We're not running this place as efficient as we could.
Right.
Um,
As my brother likes to say,
yeah,
they is the hierarchy enslaving you.
totally. It's the boot on the neck, man, that has
Right.
been this way since the beginning of recorded time.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a topic for another live that we
Yeah.
could get into. But it's fascinating, man, because, if you're to take processed foods out of it and you're to eat just whole, you know, let's say um, there's plant centered and there's plant exclusive. I love these terms,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like only exclusively plants. That would be someone who's essentially a vegan,
Yeah.
exclusively plants.
Yeah.
Vegan, vegan has nothing to do with the diet. So if they don't say they're vegan, they're not vegan. If they say they're plant based, they're wearing leather shoes, you're like, oh, you're not a vegan.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see what's happening in the leather industry. Like, it's horrible. Do you want to? I don't want to vote for that anymore.
No.
Do I want leather boots? Fuck yeah, I do. I love a good pair of leather boots. There's nothing like them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want that anymore, knowing that we have the technology and as well as or amazing, we could create something new, a new product that would replace. But yeah, it's just fascinating, man, like how we can be so stuck in our one way and nobody really knows. Nobody really knows, man. Plant centered, plant exclusive. I feel 100%. Like, I would love for the world to be vegan. If we were to have like a consciousness shift,
Yep.
we all like get Christ consciousness to come into us and we're like, there's no need to kill anything. We can clean this place up. Let's clean the waters. Let's clean the air. 100%. That's where I want to go
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not there yet. And for the average individual, eating a plant-centered diet with little amounts of other foods, animal foods,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit of processed food, it's going to be so much better from the data that we have
Yeah.
than eating only processed foods and eating like, a healthy home cooked meal with meat and potatoes once in a while.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of people that are like that. I'm seeing them in the store. I'm like, bro, they don't have one vegetable in there. There's milk, eggs, boxes of just crap. These individuals would have like the most amazing shift. And this is where I feel like most of us are coming from, no matter what camp we're in, hygiene or Hippocrates or
Mm.
whatever we prescribe to.
Yep.
If they could just eat like if we were to feed them for like 1 month, what would happen to them?
Yeah.
Like, it'd be amazing. But take like a healthy, like I've got some homies back in Oregon, old schoolers. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
near 70. They garden, they fish, they hunt, they drink a lot of beer, a lot of whiskey. They're healthy old fuckers.
Yeah.
For compared to, the average individuals walking around,
Yes.
they're pretty dang healthy. Are they in perfect health? Hell no.
Right.
But they eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, right? They have a lot of laughter, and they're not going to McDonald's, right? They're not doing these sorts of things. So it's interesting because it's like I feel like even these top scientists or people who get, like we see, because like we don't have a TV, we don't watch any mainstream TV. All we watch is, either a show or YouTube or we're on social media
Yeah.
watching reels or whatever. So, but what we see, because the algorithm feeds you what you're into,
Yep.
is a lot of people talking about a lot of really cool stuff. And there's a lot of people who are very knowledgeable, but still we're only pulling off of like maybe 100 years at most worth of studies. Like we don't
Mhm.
really have that much data. And, say some might be like, why do you even eat a raw vegan diet then? But it's like, man, the data that I've seen that like has infiltrated and soaked into my brain is showing me that's the best way to go to
Yeah.
have the most optimum life and to be able to have like, I want to be able to freaking live a great life when I'm older. Not like people that I know, all of us, every single one of us know people who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s who are just hating
Oh yeah.
it. Like they don't have a quality of life.
Right.
And if eating more conventional cucumbers is going to help that, like if I ate only organic English cucumbers, would I live a year longer? Probably not, because, I'm on my phone, for 3 hours a day or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting how we can geek out and nerd out on certain things. And we want to study, we want to see the numbers, we want to learn more, but we really don't know very I feel like very much, like but that's what inspires me about certain people who are so confident. I'm like, man, they are so confident.
Mhm.
And I know so certain individuals, certainly these certain individuals that I might be talking about, they might be just like an influencer.
Mhm.
And I'm like, they don't really have like, too much education behind the confidence that they either read a book or they listened to a podcast, which I'm right there. I'm a very impressionable person, and
Mhm.
I can definitely shift and sway a lot easier than some people who are just like have their stance and they will not move from that stance.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by all kinds of stuff,
Yeah. Same.
and yeah, but from I've always said, like, I feel like Bruce Lee had it down. He would take little bits from different kinds of martial arts and he made his own. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
and I don't know what it's called. I heard that story and I was like, that's cool. I'm like, I kind of feel like, Bruce Lee in a way. Like I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna take as much information as I can from all these amazing people who have come before me and who have tried all kinds of things and have been doing this 3, 4 times longer than I have. And maybe there's 80% I'm taking with me. Maybe there's only 20% though,
Yeah.
but I mean, there's something to take from everybody, 100%.
Agreed.
And I do feel like anybody in this particular niche is, in a lot of ways, like the main uh, place that they're moving from is to help humanity and to
Yeah.
help others be healthier. I
Yeah.
feel like,
Agreed.
everybody's got that common theme. And
Yep.
so, for that, I love them all,
Yeah.
like, you know, and I admire people who, like create a business and they make money around just, say spitting absolutes and guarantees right and left.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be those individuals who are going to, for lack of a better term, fall prey to that kind of content,
Sure.
right? Where they're like, oh my gosh, like I will never get sick if I only do this and I never eat a baked potato again or whatever.
Right.
You um, yeah, there's going to be people who are going to monetize and whether they like are consciously moving from that. Like I feel like there's some people who are like legit just malevolent,
Mm.
dark,
Mhm.
like they don't care.
Yep.
And they, still kind of float in like spaces like our space of the raw vegan world. But I do feel like most people mean well.
Mhm. Agreed.
But there's a lot of people who are going through all kinds of issues in life at different stages, and you're trying to find the healing and you're trying to find the truth. And sometimes we can we need something for our growth. So we like clasp on to an ideal that this is going to be it because I need this to be it. Like we're all going through our own shit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like me with the numbness, bro, I could be, it's getting better. Like incrementally, like I know it's getting better. Like I bit my lip yesterday a little bit by accident and I was like, ooh, and I could kind of feel it. And I'm like, all
Mm.
right, good. It is
Yeah.
getting better, you know?
Yeah.
But like, I mean, we as people, you know, especially if we're left to our own devices, you know, devices being the phone or whatever, we could drive ourselves batty trying to figure out like, you know, what do I need to do to heal? I need to
Mhm.
fast for 40 days. I need to do a 40-day water fast.
Oh.
I could have that in my head that 100% my nerve damage will be healed if I did a 40-day water fast. And I wish I could split test because I kind of would like to do that to see just for shits and giggles.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to bad enough because I know what it does to the body and the microbiome and the brain and all these sorts of things. And, you know, it's intriguing. But for me personally, yeah, I just, you know, I'm like, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to really dive headfirst into certain things. I admire
Mhm.
people that do,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah. That
Agreed.
just are like, this is it. This is the end all be all. This is the truth. And like we were saying, you know, reading books from 100 years ago or whatever,
Mhm.
that was 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Like we've got a little bit different technology. This is a CO2 detector that I put in my tent. So I make sure that if I'm, you know, we have our diesel heater going on, that we have no, we know we're going to die while we have technology. I can read the, you know, the data on my phone while I'm sitting next to the fire. Like we're not in these worlds of 100 years ago. We have
Yeah.
shifted. And now for sure there's good information from 100 years ago
Oh yeah.
or older to take for sure. But you know, there's some things that just don't apply to this day and age. And another thing that, you know, me and Lista talk about is it's funny because like there's all these old remedies.
Mhm.
And it's like they had old remedies because they had problems too.
Right.
They're trying to overcome problems back then too, man.
Yeah.
You know, but I totally you know, I can get though where people are coming from. Like and you know I feel that I shouldn't exclude myself from that group, you know, like wanting to go back to nature, as close to nature as we can,
Mhm. Mm.
you know. But you know, like man, like dude, the way that they spray you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
like bro, like you know, we can't go, we're never going to be able to, I shouldn't say never, that's hardcore, but like it, you know, definitely in our life or your kid's life, we're not going to see, you know, like a beautiful, natural, organic world because of this duality,
Yeah.
the polarity of this existence here. Like there's always going to be that. There's always going to be, you know, a bunch of bullshit. And even
Mhm.
back then, way back, I know, like if you had something I wanted, right? And I've got more people that we could overtake you,
Yeah.
right? The concept of war and these sorts of things. Like there's always been this they have something that we want. Let's take it.
Yeah.
These sorts of things. And there's some people who are just like they want to make money.
Mhm.
And so they'll say whatever they got to say and they will speak how they need to speak to to catch certain people in their net.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I see not only in the raw vegan niche but any
Oh
fucking
yeah.
niche,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
But health food, the diet culture and the diet niche is so fascinating. It really is.
Yeah. It is. Sometimes I wonder. Some people, it almost seems like they might be healthier if they just stopped focusing on health.
Totally,
You
dude.
know?
Oh man, well, you know, we've never met them, but I'm like our friends. It's funny, like we have all our friends. Like I consider you a good friend, but like I've
Likewise.
never met you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like in person, never given you a hug.
Yeah.
But there's Olivia and Wes, right?
Yep.
And I love how she talks a lot about that, you know, like
Mhm.
just trusting your body,
Right.
just knowing that your body is doing what it needs to do, right? And loving yourself. And that is such a huge message, man, because we are so hard on ourselves and we're beating ourselves up like we're programmed we have a we have a program that's running in there. I don't know. This kind of goes through the Inky and Lil thing maybe,
Mm-hmm.
because why is it that 95% they say of our thoughts are subconscious?
Right.
We're only conscious, like in the flow of creation, 5% of our time, which I've been in the creation flow with adding more power to our tent and this sort of thing. I'm learning, but I'm also trying to create and have wires run. Like my brain is, I'm tired. Like it's a
Mm.
lot of brain work, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not something I'm used to.
Yeah.
But it's just fascinating how um totally lost it. Sorry, man. I can't
It's
remember
all
what
the
I was gonna.
wiring.
Yeah, it's all the wiring. It just took it out of me, bro. Um, whatever the case is, yeah, dang it, I can't remember what I was gonna say. Um, yeah.
5%. Uh,
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. So there we go. So out of the 95% of the subconscious mind, the thoughts that are just on a repetitive loop,
Yep.
essentially, and this is what's so tricky. People are talking about like reprogramming your brain or reprogramming habits and these sorts of things. It's really interesting, like to create these new neural pathways. You got to do something so many times and change your self talk and these sorts of things. But out of that 95%, 75%, they say, yeah, I don't know who they are or these studies. I would love to be in the lab so they can see like,
Yeah.
the measurements, because I love data in a way. Like
Yeah.
I'm not like super hardcore, but I'm way more hardcore than a lot of people on
Mm-hmm.
data.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 75% of our thoughts are negative and redundant. It's just this negative self talk loop. So when we're always like, we're not like loving ourselves, we're not giving ourselves the benefit of the doubt that we're doing good, looking at ourselves and saying, like, literally, like looking into your eyes as close as you can before the vision starts to blur of yourself in the mirror and just say, I love you, like 5, 6, 7 times. 7 is a good number. 9, powerful number, right?
Yeah.
Just telling yourself that you love yourself and that you're healing.
Yeah.
It's so huge how much that plays into it as well. And then of
Absolutely.
course, that's the mind, right? And some people might thread that into, well, yeah, this is why we pray over our food to raise the vibration. And then, of course, you get into like, well, you can't pray over a McDonald's burger and have a different outcome in the body because
Mm-hmm.
there's laws that take place in this third dimension, you know,
Yeah.
problem, reaction, solution, or, like for every action, there's a reaction,
Yep.
right? So no matter how much I pray or set the intention that this McDonald's burger and fries are going to be nourishing, it's not going to nourish me.
Right.
But, knowing that I'm serving myself the best way with what I'm putting in on a daily basis and the self-talk that I have, and just releasing the stronghold as to I have to figure this out, right? Like, man, totally. That's gotta help you too. It's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We, like you talk about in your reel, like we can be so fixed on diet, and I love how Rosalind Graham, I heard this from Lissa. I didn't hear the talk, but Rosalind Graham, Doug's wife,
Mm-hmm.
talked about the hub and the spoke, to the wheel.
Yeah.
And each spoke was a different thing, like exercise, diet, right?
Yep.
And me and Lissa say, like, we kind of like, we're like, well, sleep is the hub, because we started to learn more about sleep. We're reading sleep books,
Yeah.
the studies on sleep, and just how important sleep is. And it kind of sucks that we need to sleep so fucking much,
Yeah.
man. Like, like I wish we could be totally charged on 3 hours. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because there's a lot to do. I want to learn another language. I want to play an
Mm-hmm.
instrument, and there's just not enough hours in the day.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting how each one of those spokes is a different thing, and we can be so hyper focused on one that we neglect so many of the others. So even if we're like natural hygiene to the T, because you brought up natural hygiene, and in a way, like when you come to raw, you're like, you start to dig through the different trails of how to eat, and you start to uncover, oh, there's toxins that we create when we cook our food, like,
Right.
oh, we're like damaging the nematodes and the worms when we uproot garlic. Like, I don't want to have any impact on the world in that way, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's beautiful. I love it. But when we're geeked out so hardcore there that we're not exercising, we're not even going out for a walk because we're scared of what they're spraying in the air or
Right.
whatever,
Yeah.
like missing the experience of being a human. right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting stuff. But one thing's for certain: you take a mango the size of my head. We weighed one of these out. We bought like, I don't know, 25 of these
Nice,
things,
nice.
and like it's essentially about 500 grams worth of flesh to
Wow.
eat out of this mango, aside from the skin and the seed. That's like, or no, sorry, it was a 500 grams. Yeah, about 500 grams. So it was essentially like 500 calories too.
Okay.
And this is like, I mean, you eat this. If I eat this whole, bro, I'm full. I can't
Yeah.
eat anymore.
Yeah.
Nothing else is gonna fit in there because of the water and the fiber and right.
Yeah.
But you take like a little box of cookies, 2,500 calories because these are like baked with special butter or something, right?
Yeah.
Like the lard or whatever. Bro, you could have like freaking 2,500 calories and you're still not like as full as that one mango. So, I
Hmm.
mean, when you get into like really digging into what foods are and what our body needs, this is why these certain things make sense to us, right?
Yeah.
And but it is interesting because there are people too that I take note to that I'm like, wow, they've been doing this 30 years, 35 years. I'm like, I don't want to look like them or be like them when I'm their age. I
Hmm.
better like do something a little different.
Yep.
But I'm gonna take these certain things from them because I do like what they're doing over here, but I don't like other aspects,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And kind of like you said with in Oregon, where they're trying to make it illegal to hunt and fish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I think, and I don't know if you agree with this, but I think it's better to, instead of banning it, which obviously neither of us want people going out there and killing l- beings and lives that don't need to be killed.
Yeah.
Um, education, and same. That's why
Yeah.
that's how we got into this lifestyle and how we have changed our thought processes and in the
Yeah.
lens that we look through life. um, you know, Educating and getting people to see why that isn't necessary, I think, is better than making it illegal.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the education has to be there. And see,
yeah.
what's interesting with the education is it's like threefold in a way, right? The environment, like how is this impacting our environment?
Hmm.
Which of course, could be argued both ways. Like, well, like it's so funny, like, to save the fish, we got to kill more fish. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like,
Right.
um, and then, can be argued in the sense of, yeah, there's just not enough animals to go around to feed everybody.
Hmm.
Right. And, then when you like look into how much grows in a garden, right?
Yeah.
And what happens, the third fold I was gonna say is the body, the education of what's happening in the body. And this is where the cartoon would become in so
Yes.
clutch.
Yeah.
It'd become in so clutch. When you said that, I'm like, it'd be so cool to have a cartoon where the viewer was able to make the choice between what they want to embody at the end, because there's both choices.
Yeah.
You could eat the animal
Hmm.
and it's going to have these effects on your body, especially over time. And then energetically, this is what you're also, because energy, man, like if we were to really tap into the energy aspect, because there's a certain part of me that's like, well, there's nothing can be recreated or destroyed because everything that ever existed all exists here and now. The
Hmm.
concept of that is pretty fascinating. So it's like, does it matter if I kill the elk and give it like say to the gods, like, please give me and my family the energy from this elk that I killed, because it's just energy. It's just going to be recreated. So I know that a lot of people, a lot of hunters and stuff, that's kind of what they embody, is that. So, but back to the cartoon, if the viewer, either the adult, teenager, or the child watching this cartoon could see energetically what they contributed to,
Hmm.
and then of course the more powerful aspect is, what do these certain plant foods or animal foods, especially if the animal foods are processed in a certain way, because let's face it, like people aren't out there eating wild game. Wild
Right.
game is going to be the best animal flesh you could eat because it's wild, but it's
Hmm.
going to taste way different than what people are eating because it's loaded with salt, loaded with all kinds of other additives, certain things, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Antibiotics because of the sickness. And so it would be so dope though to have that cartoon, because I would love to have, the impact, the vision is to have the viewer, the kid, the teenager or the adult, after watching it be like, I think I'm gonna have a mango today. you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like, man, I watched this really powerful like cartoon documentary this morning, and like, man, grapes. Like, I need to eat more grapes. Because it was
Mhm.
about grapes.
Yeah.
Like either grapes or eggs. What is a better way to start your day or whatever, right?
Right.
Like, it'd be so cool to have that.
Mhm.
And, of course, it'd be great to get together with other brilliant minds and put something together, because of course, the end goal would be to sway someone
Right.
to to persuade them to eat more fruits and vegetables, because like we can't convince anybody of anything.
Mhm.
They have to make up their own mind. We as people don't like to be told what to do. And
Right.
this is another delivery, right? Like the way people deliver certain information, if it feels like you're being told what to do, you're like, yeah, fuck off, man, you don't have to tell
Mm.
me what to do.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'll figure this out on my own, whatever. But it would be so cool to have something like that that could persuade people to eat more fruits and vegetables, because the data shows, man, like
Mhm.
it just shows time and time again, and we need to have more. And of course, certain data gets suppressed,
Oh yeah.
and if someone is only like, say you take like a meat eater, and like in their feed is hunting and fishing and like, all the meathead stuff, that people would do, regenerative farming and gardening, backyard gardening or whatever. Not to say these are bad people. They have good hearts, they have good intentions, they love, they have families, they cry tears, right? But yeah, it's just, it would be so rad if, we could just see more of that data come to mainstream, because it's just not there.
Right.
Right? Like, everybody's so freaked out about protein. Like, protein seems like it's really caught traction, at least because of the niche that we're
Yeah.
in like the last like decade. Like,
Mhm.
protein is just like, Jesus, like granola bars have protein. Like, everything's like, like, does this CO2 like, or, device have protein? Like, like, I'm not going to buy it if it doesn't, if it's not like exuding some protein while I
Right.
sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
But, yeah. And then like with me and Lissa having our DEXA scan, not even really like trying very hard. Like, we're like, whoa, we're building muscle,
Yeah, yeah.
like she built muscle. I built muscle. I do eat some heat processed foods.
Mm.
I like to call the foods the heat processed, because, in this niche, cooking is the devil.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
but I love my Instapot, and I just love rice and lentils and steamed vegetables sometimes.
Mhm.
So I'll eat those like 2, 3 times a month, and it's not like, oh, I'm built muscle because I was eating those cooked foods, because there's people who believe that you have to have cooked foods in order to build muscle. There's all this
Right.
information, it's just so overwhelming
Yeah.
in so many ways. So it's like we all come to our own thing, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, back to the B12, it's like, I'll take the B12. I'll just, CYA, man, cover your ass.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cheap. Like, it's not going to hurt me.
Mm.
Is a company making some money? Yes. And bless them, because they've dedicated a good portion of their hours
Yeah.
in their waking day to make this company, to get the bottle, to do the label, and to play the game of having a supplement.
Yep.
And there's, of course, like we were saying, know your supplement companies. Who are these companies? It's really good to even go to like Expo West in LA, these expos where you get to meet the faces of these companies. And if anybody is listening to this and has questions, you could message Lissa, and get her 2 cents. It's nice to gather information from multiple sources. Lissa's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to certain companies that are a lot better
Mm.
than other companies.
Yeah.
Way more than I would know. Just right off the top of her head, I'm like, man, you're storing a lot of files in there, babe. But yeah, I mean, I know it's so fascinating, man. And like, some people just gravitate towards other people and their message and their wording and their content and their energy.
Yeah.
And they want to, you know, follow that person. And, some people, everybody, I always think like everybody's experiencing exactly what they need for the evolutionary journey of their soul. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, everybody's experiencing what I needed to experience, this dental situation, the nerve damage, maybe later. I'm working on a book, right? But I'm a raw like dental book.
Nice.
Um, because I've had a lot of people be like, "Man, I don't have any teeth." Like I would love to eat a salad. And I'm like, "Oh man, I've been like, food processing my salads to where they're like more like a slaw. So
Okay.
it's like easier, not as much chewing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? To kind of like masticate it just a little bit, like not puree,
Yep.
but they're like, "That's brilliant." I'm like, "Man, all right, that's cool." Like you don't think like, "Oh, this is gonna be like revolutionary for somebody," but
Yeah.
for someone who doesn't have any teeth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Life is just, it's really fun
Mm-hmm.
living as a human. It can be really hard and really tricky in a lot of ways too. But
Absolutely.
like you're saying with your grandparents, like the love, the purpose, right? The fortitude to plant and to harvest,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whatever that might be. Maybe planting is writing the book and harvesting is finishing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's so, and there's always gonna be those stories. My grandpa Gene, man, he ate,
Yeah.
bacon and eggs every morning and had a shot of whiskey every single night. He lived
Yeah.
to 97,
Yeah.
danced on his last day of life. Well, hats off to him.
Right.
And he's 97, so obviously he didn't grow up in the same
Mm-hmm.
um, programming phase that we did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting the programming, like
Oh
from an
yeah.
early age, like if you grew up in the 40s and 50s, you have different programming than if you grew up in the 60s, 70s, or 80s.
Yeah.
If you grew up in the 90s and 2000s, completely different programming
Yep.
than the, 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Different
So,
programming, different food environment, different chemical
yeah,
environment.
yeah.
A lot of
And I mean, we
lot of
would be so
differences.
freaked out. Like when, we talked about last episode, what in the world are they spraying?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, bro, there's so many things that you could just be like pissed off and freaked out and really aggravated every single day.
Yeah.
And it's, like, I mean, there was years and years I wanted to know everything that I could know. And I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, this is driving me fucking crazy.
Same.
Like, I don't even want to live here anymore. I want to call it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, obviously this stuff is, you got to protect your energy. I'm like, oh, this is like doing something to my energy.
Yep.
Just, listening to this content, or like, do I need to know this? Like dude, there's, such power at play and we're so manipulated.
Oh yeah.
And, it's the jar of the red ant and the black ant in the
Mm-hmm.
jar, and
Mm-hmm.
they don't fight. But if you shake the jar, then they'll just like kill each other.
Yeah.
It's like somebody shaking this jar, bro, because like we're all the same. Like we all wipe our ass. We all
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a fucking belly button.
Yeah. Dude, I was
Maybe
just
most of us.
I was I was just watching a a mourning dove in my front yard this morning,
Mm,
and just watching her. She's blinking and just looking around. And I was like,
mm.
she's blinking,
Wow.
I'm blinking.
Yeah.
We're just kind of,
Just chilling,
just looking at our environments. Like
breathing
it's
in the
just,
morning air.
yeah, man. Like you can just relate to. I wasn't like this before, but now I can totally relate to other animals and just
Mm. Yeah,
all
different.
life. And it's just like
Yeah,
we're so similar in so many ways.
bro.
It's
That cartoon, I feel like would be really powerful too, because I feel like most of us as little boys, which,
hmm
let's face it, most grown men are just like little
oh
boys
yeah,
still.
yeah,
Like we don't grow past 12,
right,
in a lot of ways.
yeah,
And I'm sure it's the same for females too, in their
yeah,
ways. But I feel like a lot of us little boys didn't really want to be the evil one in the cartoon.
hmm
We wanted to be that prince.
yeah,
We wanted to be the one that could talk to the lion
yep,
and like pet the freaking elk,
yeah,
right? Like we have the bow
hmm
to protect our families. But like I feel like, all of us, that's where it would be cool with the cartoon. Like the end theme could be where the kid leaves like going, I don't want to hurt animals.
yeah,
I oh, that's a dead animal? I don't think I want that. I don't
hmm
want to eat it because I'm connected to animals in a different way because of a program. It's a
hmm
program, bro. Like we need to program. We need to help program
yeah,
people out there.
right, yeah. That's funny. I was big into Power Rangers as a kid. I
Okay.
don't know if you ever watched Power Rangers, but
I know Power Rangers.
yeah. But yeah, I always
Yeah.
wanted to be the green and the white ranger, sometimes the red,
Yeah.
but usually the
Okay.
green or the white.
They were the
Same
nicer
same
ones.
guy.
Yeah.
They were like the most powerful like
I
leaders
see.
and like, you
Yeah.
know. But I never wanted to be the villain, you know. I was never like, "Oh, I want to be the putty, you know, little
Yeah.
gray putty guy." Or you know.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like yeah, we just have like a natural inclination to want to
Yeah.
be good, right?
Yeah.
And protective and
Yeah.
leaders. So,
Right. And it's interesting because there's a huge narrative that in order to be that as a man,
mhm,
you've got to be a hunter.
right.
And
Yeah.
as much as I do believe that there was a point in time of existence in time
Yeah.
that that was necessary. And now it's just like, it's interesting because it's just unnecessary,
Yeah.
and like we could be masculine without having to kill
Mhm.
or to take from something else.
Yeah.
Like we don't really need to do that.
Yeah,
So
I think
yeah, there's.
comes down to, you know, protecting and caring for the vulnerable, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
at that
Yeah.
time, our families, our children, they were vulnerable
Right.
to
Vulnerable. Yeah, like if there's a
not having
lion
enough
coming
food.
in,
So you
right.
had to go hunt, right?
You had to go hunt, man.
It
Like
protects
if
your
there was a
family.
if there was a lion that came into I'm sure we've heard these stories where like, the African, tribe had to like kill the lion because it was trying to kill their family.
Right.
Because the lion's so hungry,
Yeah.
like of course there's going to be, like kill or be killed kind of situation. And that's
Mhm.
really it's tricky, man, because that's kind of how it is with military. Like,
Mhm.
well, I want to join the military because I want to protect our country. We got to like protect our country from these other people who are bad.
Mhm.
And man, they wipe their ass the same as we do.
I know.
Like
I
we're
know.
being played off of each other.
Yes.
Like we are, dude. So it's so crazy. But yeah, when you shift, that's where it's interesting. There's a lot of militant, angry vegans, and rightfully so. There's a lot of things to be pissed off about in this world.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a lot of people who are on the opposite spectrum who are like, I was vegan and I nearly died.
Mhm.
You hear
Mhm.
those too, and it's like it's so interesting. It's like, well, people are, as a vegan, we're like, people are dying every day from meat based, or
Yeah.
processed foods. Like, what do
Yeah.
you mean you almost died? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what were you doing? What were you eating? Really.
Mhm.
So I know.
You have to take into account though, and I'm not discounting the people that are legitimately feeling that way, but you
Yeah.
know, we always have to be discerning about these stories that we hear because one, there's a billion dollar, you know, there's billions of
Yeah.
dollars being put into influencers
Yeah.
and accounts
So true.
to
So true.
say these messages to keep people
Yeah.
confused about what they should eat.
Yeah.
And two, there's bots everywhere. Like
Everywhere,
if
bro.
you're arguing with somebody in a comment section, there's a good chance it's a bot.
It's a bot.
It seems like a real person, but you know, I
Yeah.
mean, I go to some channels. I mean, sometimes it's really obvious. Like
Yeah.
even if it's like positive comments, you can just tell. Like
Yeah. It's a
I
bot.
see like multiple like 10, 15, 20 sometimes comments.
That
Uh,
are the same.
yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
same. Maybe one or two words are different. So it's
And I
like,
think I don't know, like a lot of people have seen like those, those farms. I don't know what they call them, like the solar farm or a bot farm. It's like one
mhm,
person sitting and they've got like 200 phones,
right.
right? And they're able to just like that's their job.
Yeah.
And what a crazy there's all sorts of just I know, man. What an amazing world.
Yeah.
It can be so amazing, and it can be, so uplifting
Hmm.
and positive and
Yeah.
give us hope. And then of course, like in the same breath, especially, they say like nowadays, it's interesting what is happening psychologically. You're seeing someone who just like lost their dog or like a family member died,
Hmm.
and you like the post and you comment like condolences, our prayers are with you, and then you scroll and it's something happy and you're laughing. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's just interesting what is happening to our brains and how we are. It's harder to be discerning and it's harder to be like empathetic, you know um and yeah, it's an interesting time.
Yeah.
I talked to this dude yesterday. I went to this Granger industrial supply looking for a part,
Mm.
and um I was like, yeah, how I got into even finding out about this cable gland was I was asking chat, I'm trying to do, I'm trying to pass some wires through the floor of my rooftop tent. What would be the best way? I'm thinking of a grommet. And they're like, oh, use a cable gland. And he's like, oh man, I've tapped into that's scary. And I didn't ask him. I should have asked him, like, what is it you're scared about? Because it can be scary, AI,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm like, man, like for me, bro, like I have built the most amazing overlanding truck, you know, power supply system with the help of AI,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
making sure my fuses are done right and my wiring is correct and sized right, because this isn't my world that I know and study every day. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure, and I want to talk to somebody. Who can I talk to? Well, I can talk to chat. Like, fucking amazing, man.
Yeah.
So I know, bro. It's so wild.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Hey, Maddie, I gotta bounce off here.
Okay.
We got our class in 20 minutes. I hear Liz out there getting some
Sounds
stuff
good.
set up.
Yeah, man.
Um, yeah, this is great, and I love hanging out and rapping with you raw
For
talk.
sure.
So it's super fun on a Saturday morning. Get
Yeah.
you get back